This is Jackson Tate for the UWFFL update. This week we've got Division II going into the conference semifinals. The Continental League is getting underway, and we've got a couple more games action in the Premier League. Plus, it's the debut of the Union Cup. We're going to have an update on the Union Cup from Greg Dickman in a minute. But first, let's get started with some scores from the Premier League. We've got, Minnesota beat San Diego 34-24. Pontiac big over Atlanta 48-10. And then they turned around and Minnesota beat Pontiac 17-14, and Atlanta beat San Diego 20-7. And those were games in Kansas City. In Wichita, we had Motor City defeating Little Rock 26-21. It was Hartford 38-19 over San Francisco. And then Little Rock came back and beat Hartford 28-20, and Motor City defeated San Francisco 33-18. And then we have games in Oklahoma City. Anchorage still rolling. They beat Youngstown 28-6. Vancouver Seawolves took care of Birmingham 24-13. And then the following day, it was Vancouver over Youngstown 31-24. And Anchorage beat Birmingham 28-14. So let's take a look at your standings now. Through 7 games in the Premier League. Remember, they're playing 11 games. They're playing each team once. Only one division. There's no divisions really, but the top 6 teams will make the playoffs. The bottom team will get automatically relegated, and the 10th and 11th place teams will face off in the relegation bowl. So here's your standings after 7 games. We got 4 games left to play. Minnesota and Anchorage atop the league at 6-1. Little Rock and Vancouver are at 5-2. Birmingham and Motor City are sitting there at 4-3, right now having the last 2 playoff spots. And then you've got Atlanta, Pontiac, Hartford at 3-4, San Diego, San Francisco, and Youngstown still looking for their first Premier League win. Now let's shift to the Continental League. This is the debut of the Continental League. This was the first round of games. We've got 12 teams. This is actually the first year of Continental League play. It's a new league starting this year. It's for teams that are past champions and charter teams, original teams from back in the year 2000, and past champions, and so it's another Division II league, but the teams, each year, one team will be promoted. The champion of the Continental League will also go back to the Premier League, along with 2 teams being promoted from Division II. So let's take a look at the first round of games in the Continental League. It was Texas beating Nashville 24-10, Oklahoma City beating Pittsburgh 17-7, and Phoenix over Chicago. The crop circles get it done big 23-3. Okay, now these games are being played in in Detroit, and we also got games in Pontiac. So they're playing both of these games in the Detroit area, in Pontiac and in Detroit at Ford Field. Connecticut defeated Austin 18-0. It was Miami 29-24 over Dallas, and Tampa 24-6 over Augusta. And then in Detroit, those first games were in Pontiac, I believe. Oklahoma City defeated Nashville 23-13. Texas beat Chicago 35-21, and Pittsburgh beat Phoenix 20-16. Okay, I think we're going back and forth here. Those were Pontiac, and these are back in Detroit. At any rate, here's the scores. Miami beat Connecticut 38-27. Tampa beat Austin 24-10. And Dallas beat Augusta 21-15. And then we got the third day's action. Pittsburgh beat Nashville 21-15. Phoenix over Texas 32-24. And Oklahoma City beat Chicago at 38-17. And then the last round of games we have here, Connecticut beat Dallas 24-10. It was Augusta in overtime beating Austin 16-13, and Miami beat Tampa in the Battle of Florida. Well, the Continental League, Florida anyway. Miami over Tampa 33-27. I believe that one was a thriller. So let's take a look at your standings in the Continental League right now after 3 games. It's the Cougars and the Super Beasts atop at 3-0, and then you've got Tampa, Connecticut, Phoenix, Pittsburgh, and Texas at 2-1. Augusta and Dallas are at 1-2, and Austin, Chicago, and Nashville are at 0-3. So that's your Continental League, and when we come back, we're going to take a look at the Division II as they begin the postseason. You're listening to what are you listening to? I don't know. The show is the UWFFL Update. This is episode 2.5 of the UWFFL Update.
Bigfoot, I'm starved too. Want to head on over to Yeti's? Yeah, their Alu Kali Ko Tarkari pulled pork is amazing. And don't forget their rattlesnake and partridge momo. And don't sleep on their Thai curry marinated chicken as well. You're right, Bigfoot. Don't forget your sides. Their cauliflower hush puppies and their 5-cheese Jito are to die for. So if you're in the mood for great Himalayan fusion food, then get on over to Yeti's Himalayan Hut. And tell them Bigfoot sent you.
Howdy everybody, Jackson Tate back here on episode 2.5. I just want to do a brief little explanation of that. We're going to number these programs based on the this week in the simulation leagues. So this is 2.5, which means it's between this week in the simulation leagues episode 2 and episode 3, which episode 3 is getting backed up. We're going to get it out. It's actually should be called last week in the simulation leagues. That's very funny, Greg. Just get your Union Cup stuff ready, and we'll, don't chime in until then, okay? So anyway, this is episode 2.5, and so we're going to get that numbering nomenclature set for you, but basically we're going to number them based on the This Week in Simulation Leagues show with Drew Abernathy. They're going to come out every week, or maybe every other week at this point, I don't know. And then any episodes in between. That way, they'll all be in the YouTube feed in order, but you can figure out which episode is which if you want to keep all your scores straight. Okay, so we ran down the first 3 games in the Continental League and the next 2 games in the Premier League, but now let's go to the Division II postseason. As you all know, we rounded out the regular season last week, and we're going to start in the Eastern Association, where here's your semifinal games. It was Staten Island against Philadelphia, and it was St. John's against Steel City. And so let's take a look at the finals in, Staten Island big over Philadelphia. It was the Swordfish beating the Union 42-14. And the other semifinal, it was Steel City beating St. John's 35-20. So it's going to set up a championship game. Staten Island and Steel City, the Swordfish and the Express, are going to meet in the next episode, next game. These games were played a couple weeks ago. I mean, actually, were they played in fall 2020? Well, it's very hazy now when these games actually were played or are being played or what's going on, but we're just going to get them out to you. In the next episode is going to be the conference finals. Let's go to the Metro South. We got Roanoke playing Orlando. Roanoke was the darlings of the Metro South this go-around. They took home the number 1 seed, and Orlando Electricity, of course, were the relocated Las Vegas Lightning, and then Charleston and playing Florida in the other one. Of course, Florida was the team that was number 2 in the nation in 2013 and missed out on promotion, kind of unlucky, and then they came back last year and didn't get through, so we'll see what happens this year. But in this first game, it was Roanoke and Orlando, and Roanoke wins, making it to the final, 30-9 over Orlando. So a big game, a big year for the Giraffes. We'll see if the Roanoke Giraffes can make their way into the Premier League. In the other semifinal, it was the Florida Geckos, 24-17 over Charleston. So a good solid season for Florida, and so Roanoke and Florida will meet next in the Metro South Conference Championship. Let's go to the Central League. We've got the Iowa Corn against the Rapid City Badlanders, and the Cincinnati Grinders, the 3 seed, against the 2 seed Kansas City Rattlers. So we got some good games, looking like some good teams here, and let's see how it went out. Iowa 28-21 over Rapid City. They won that one by a touchdown. And in the other semifinal, it was Kansas City big over the Grinders, 35-10. So that's going to set up a big Central League final coming up next. Kansas City and Iowa, a couple really good teams there. The Kansas City Rattlers and the Iowa Corn. All right, let's head to the Pacific Coast Conference. You know, it's always been the story of the Lumberjacks out here in the Pacific. You got the British Columbia Lumberjacks and the Yellowknife Lumberjacks, the top 2 seeds. And they're playing in the semifinals. British Columbia against the Anaheim Warriors. They were kind of a surprise team. Nobody saw them going this far, I don't think. And then you got Arizona, the Arizona Miners in the other semifinal against Yellowknife. And let's see how the first game came out. It was British Columbia 38-13 over Anaheim. No surprise there. And in the other semifinal, it was Yellowknife 21-7 over Arizona. So that's going to set up in the Pacific Coast Conference the championship. The Yellowknife Lumberjacks and the British Columbia Lumberjacks. It's the Battle of Lumberjacks in the Pacific Coast Conference, and we'll see how that one plays out. So all that will be next in this week in the Simulation Leagues with Drew Abernathy, Episode 3. You want to check that out if you want to see how those conference finals come out. And now it's time for a very special new segment here. The Union Cup is just getting started, and here is Greg Dickman with the Union Cup Minute. I'm Greg Dickman, and this is the Union Cup Minute. The Union Cup is a cornucopia of 116 teams from across the UWFFL and the GSL in a single elimination fixed bracket tournament. Games are starting here with preliminary round 1, which is teams that finished in 11th and 12th places in the Division 2 conferences. We've got Cheyenne taking on Memphis, and it was Indiana against Boston, and it's Providence against Salt Lake City, and the Virginia Beach Truckers are playing at the New Orleans Lions. So the 4 winners in this round will advance next week to the second preliminary round, where they will face off with teams that finished in 8th, 9th, and 10th places in the 4 Division II conferences. And we'll have all those games for you here on the Sport Puck Network. This is Greg Dickman signing off on the Union Cup Minute. That's it? You don't have the scores? Oh crap! No, I didn't get those. All right, well, we'll have a Union Cup update next week, I guess, or at some point when we get those out for you. But that's the Union Cup update, and this has been the UWFFL update, and this is Jackson Tate. Be sure to check out the new episode of This Week in the Simulation Leagues with Drew Abernathy coming up soon. You're listening to the Sport Puck Network, home of the UWFFL and the USFL, GSL. The home of the, you know what it is.
This has been a Sport Puck Network special presentation.
This podcast is a production of the Sport Puck Network, located at the intersection of sports, music, and double entendres. Find us on the web